Hello, welcome back, listeners. It is good to be with you this week. It is such a nice conversation we've been having with so many guests. And Michelle, it's just you and me today. We're kind of wrapping up our season today, just the two of us.
I know it's kind of good to be back, just us two, but I sure have enjoyed listening to all those conversations with guests and just being a fly on the wall for those conversations. More people than ever are stepping away from organized religion. So where do we turn for support, meaning, and connection? Hi friends, and welcome to Connection from Here, finding community in a changing world. I'm Michelle Perry.
And I'm Ashley Beatty Perry.
We're so happy you're here.
That's right. It has been such a wonderful season of such interesting guests who really all had such different stories about how community has shown up or not in their lives and their search for meaning in community. And it was really such a profound time for me to learn about how much it matters. I think for us, it's something you kind of think in your mind, oh, of course it matters that we're all in relationship with each other, but this is real. In life, it truly matters that we belong and that we have each other. These are the things that make our lives better.
Exactly. So it'd be awesome to take this last episode of the season to kind of look back over our episodes from the past season and see what patterns did we notice and what themes seem to occur over and over. Like you said, we can think these things in our mind, but it's a whole nother thing when someone shares their story and you can say, wow, this is really a universal thing.
That's right. Me too. Oh my gosh, me too.
Exactly.
And oh my gosh, it's almost a feeling of relief when you can just resonate with what someone is saying. And it really does help us feel like we're not alone in the world. And all of our experiences, we're having them different places, but there's a certain, what did they say in the specific, that there's also the universal. And so there's something so special about hearing another's story and then resonating and knowing that you're not alone in the world with what with your story. So yeah, I would love to kind of talk about some of the things that kind of bubbled up, as we talked to guests this season.
Right. And I noticed that when you were talking with guests, you always kind of started in the same spot, which is back to the guests' childhood. So you asked them, what did community look like for you, or maybe the lack of community? What did that look like for you starting in your childhood? And Mom, what did you kind of notice? Anything that reoccurred, anything that stuck out to you, and how our guests answered that question?
It was such a special place to start. I think it really mattered to me to hear where we start in life. Like, what does that beginning place look like? So often that matters for as life goes on, the place we started from, it matters. And I did notice there is obviously this deep biological, psychological need that we all have. We've got to be part of community. It is our survival. We talked about early on, it really is us, or for the early human, if you were not situated within your community, and you were going to be out there eaten by the lions. It really was a matter of physical survival. And so I think that piece, it's so clear, it still resonates for us. In talking to our guests, there was so much about if the guests felt connected early in their life with that community, they were able to hold on to that and take that with them. And then for the guests who really, where that piece was lacking, or where that early community was harmful to them in some ways, again, that was a piece that kind of continued to go with them as life went on. And I think that's it's such a profound insight that it does matter. We know almost from some of our guests, they reminded us, you can tell within your body, even as a young age, a lot of times you can tell if you are in a safe space that is a place of safe belonging for you. Even as a child, within your bones, within your body, you can tell that this space does not feel safe for you or whatever. you really do know that from a very early age, whether or not you are situated within a space of belonging and care and safety and connection.
Right. You're so right. That really makes me think about the episode with Rihanna and her story. And she brought up, I think, the word intuition. Like
Yeah,
you can feel it and you can trust it, even from an early age. I know she's talked about just being a child and already, like,
yeah,
yeah, like we talked about, already knowing that this wasn't right, that
yeah.
the religious community she was situated in, it wasn't right for her. And then I know that
That's
Rob,
right.
for instance, talked about a bit of a duality. In some ways, he
Yeah,
felt warm and at home in his Latinx community with his family, with his church. But at the same time, he felt he couldn't show up as his full self, and that the church he was a part of was telling him that there was something wrong with the queer identity, that he couldn't fully wear that. So in some ways, he kind of wore a mask. So yeah, I mean, even as children, we know what is a good fit and what's not.
yeah. I think that that's interesting, and I think it is a helpful reminder to us all that sometimes to notice that within ourselves, what you're feeling inside, even as adults, you can often tell, is this a community that feels right to me? Is this something that gives me that safe space to connect with others in healthy ways and also be able to bring my authentic self to
Yeah.
this? Sometimes as adults, to be able to pay attention to that, it does matter. And sometimes our body knows that before we can put words to it, I think.
Very
That's
true. Very true. And this kind of leads me into the whole reoccurring theme of stories and storytelling, and trace back from childhood into life. We had the pleasure of talking with two individuals in the storytelling community. And
yeah.
even so, that would be Mary and Daniel. But everybody seemed to kind of have the reverence for their own story, and for when you can accept and tell your story, that gives you space to
That's
be
right.
open to hearing other people's stories as well.
That's right.
And just the importance of storytelling. And that's why this podcast has such a special place in my heart, because we are a platform for these people to share their stories and for other people to hopefully hear those stories and then have the courage themselves to feel seen and then to open up and be vulnerable with their own stories as well.
That's right. And I think it does feel important because in some of the talking with Mary and Daniel, we talked about
Mm.
it's sometimes it's not often that we have space to really share our stories in authentic ways. It's not often that we are given a place to do that and feel like we will be held in a safe way as we share the very vulnerable parts of our stories. And so it does feel important. And I think, like you said, that you mentioned, there's something in being able to give voice to and share our own stories. There's something about that that better situates us to then hear the stories of others. That if we've been given a space to say, gosh, this is what I've been through. These are the things I've encountered. These are the things that have happened to me and how I've felt about that. If we're able to speak our truth about that, it really does put us in a more open place to hear the stories of others. It's something real special about how that kind of opens itself. The one story opens to the other.
So true. And something that we heard, we would end the episode, and then the guest would kind of say to us, to Rihanna, wow, that felt so good to just talk it all through, beginning to end, to put my story out there. I've never done that before. And
Yeah.
it's which is amazing, because especially for, those storytelling guests who do it for a living, it's very cathartic. Or maybe not for a living, but they do it as part of their daily lives. But it's another thing to take a step back and say, let me look at my journey as a whole and let me see the twists and turns and how I ended up in places I would have never expected. That's
Yeah.
cathartic. And I know
Yeah.
that you know about this, Mom, in your work as a hospice chaplain. People would open up to you and just, you could see kind of a relief for
Yeah.
them than being able to share all these things with someone who truly cares. they feel heard, and that's important.
Oh, it is so important. And again, I think we talk about just the uniqueness, the rareness. It just does not happen all that
Yeah.
much. And as we go about our daily living, that we are given a safe place with a caring person to share. And it really is about, it's sharing of you. It's sharing of who you are. This is my life. These are the dreams I had. These are the hardships I had. This is my life. And it truly is a gift that people are sharing with you when they talk about their life and share their story. And I think as a chaplain, it always has felt like such a gift to me when people tell me who they are, tell me about themselves. It is such a joy, such a joy. And I do think there is some relief in that when people do feel heard and do feel cared for in that, this is my story. I have been heard and I've been cared for in this way. Hopefully, we can do that more often to each other in our lives, give each other space to those we encounter to hear their stories. And it is a gift to give people that space. And again, it's such a gift to receive. I
Oh,
think
yes.
to learn about other people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a great feeling. This does actually what you were saying about holding people's dreams and helping people feel safe to be vulnerable. It does remind me a little bit of your episode interviewing Andrew, who was talking about he's the guy with the toolbox, tools to help people feel more connected and to help people make active change in their communities. And I do remember him speaking about the Climate Ribbon Project and
Yeah.
about that idea of writing, people would write on the ribbon something that they love the most and would hate to lose to climate change. And then the idea that they leave that on the tree and then someone else, a stranger, comes by, finds a ribbon that they resonate with, and then they take it with them and put it on their arm. And that is a symbol that they promise to protect and hold this person's dream.
Yeah.
So that vulnerability, that shared vulnerability in promising to hold what somebody else finds most dear, that just that really stuck with me. How did that conversation with Andrew like resonate with you?
Oh, exactly. So much so. Exactly. That piece of there's something so powerful about that image of the people are leaving something of themselves as they write on the ribbon and leaving something of themselves and what matters to them on the tree. And then a stranger will take that and say, I will carry this with me for you. I will carry a piece of you with me. And I think that there is such beautiful joy and power in that to say, now I know a piece of your story. I know a piece of your dreams and what matters to you. And I'm going to carry a piece of you with me. And now we're connected in this way. Now there's something of you with me and then somebody else is going to carry, a piece of me with them and my dreams and my hopes and what I care for. I thought that was such a beautiful way of saying, in this world, we truly are all connected. The honor of carrying a piece of somebody with you forward. We carry each other forward in this way. And it really, again, helps us know we are not alone as we are living this life. We are not alone. And my goodness, what an honor to carry a piece of somebody's story with me. And then I'm so thankful that somebody else would carry a piece of my story with them. It is that we are truly connected, every single one of us. And that symbol of we are truly in this together and not one single one of us is alone.
So true. I just yeah, I absolutely love that imagery. And then something I love that has come up is yes, community is being together and finding what we hold are the values to find that we're actually not that different from each other and what we really want at the end of the day. But it's a kind of a twofold thing because as we found, community by itself is not automatically good. It can be damaging if it requires you to conform or fit some sort of mold that you were expected to be a part of. And I remember Rob, he was saying he struggled to fit that mold. There was that pressure and expectations. Same with Rihanna. And now I want to bring up Anna, because I think the conversation you had with her as moms of the parents of kids who are BIPOC, and how that created an awareness that different of what communities might not feel safe,
Yeah.
and the importance
Yeah.
of creating awareness of each other's differences and how that contributes to community as well.
There really is. I think that came up, like you mentioned again and again. There is this piece of a community that feels good and safe. It is going to need to have the both. Like, you want to matter to that community. You want to be able to be your authentic self in that community. So if it is a space, yes, there can be community, but if you are not allowed to be your authentic self there, it's really not community for you. And I think that just to be in a community, it does require a bit of openness to learning about each other, to really not to say, oh, I already know all the things, and you must be this, and you must be, and so I already know all the things, but there's an openness to learning about you and your unique individual story, that while, yes, we are part of this community and we hold these things together, there's purpose here and meaning here, but there is also this space for you to be your authentic self. And that does require the other members of the community to be open and willing to learn about that person's unique self and about that person's authentic experience. And I think that's one of the things Anna talked about so well, and Rob talked about, that really to have both of these pieces feels so important. Because if you don't, how good is a community if the people who would like to feel part of that are excluded or made to feel like they don't matter, or the way and who they are does not belong? I mean, there's something about that. Well, okay, that then is not community to me. It's not community to that person. So I think that point was important in us as we explore what community can be. It really seems important to note that for us to be in community with others, it does require us to say, I don't know all the things. I really want to learn and know about you more. Would you please share more about who you are, in making sure it is a safe and healthy community that can hold people's authentic selves in special ways, in good ways. And yeah, that felt so important to me.
Oh, yes, I absolutely. Yeah. I love those conversations. And the word that sticks with me from your conversation with Anna is humility. And like you said, to admit that you don't know everything.
Yeah.
What feels good and safe and right to you isn't necessarily going to be the same for somebody else. And that is not a personal failure to admit you don't know everything. It creates space when you say, I don't know, why don't you tell me? That creates space for someone else to say, hey, this is my truth and this is what I need. And it's okay to admit that you don't have all the answers and that you might not be everything that somebody else needs. So the importance of sitting back and just listening to what somebody else needs to feel safe, because I think safety at the end of the day is what feels most important, because none of this can happen. The feeling of belonging, of finding meaning and shared purpose, none of that matters if you don't feel safe.
That is right. And I think it's important to remember too, not only is that having that openness and having that humility and wanting to learn about somebody else and making sure they can be their authentic self and you can learn about them more, that also benefits the community. I think that's one of the things that is forgotten so much. Yes, obviously it benefits the individual. Now they do feel like they matter and they do belong here. But the other thing that does is it really benefits the community. It enriches the community. It opens the community to something even more beautiful that, now this is here and we did not have before. We did not know this before. We had not learned this before. but we are a community that doesn't know all the things, and has humility and wants to learn and wants to say, I don't know, please tell me more. I want to know you, and I want to make sure this is a space where you feel that you matter and where you feel that you belong and where you are held safely here. The benefit to the community is, I think, so often the focus is on how that benefits the individual. And as we've mentioned, it sure does. But I really don't want us to forget that communities are made stronger that way. Communities are enriched that way. And every member in the community is made even more whole because this other person here is now able to bring their authentic self in. And what a beautiful, beautiful kind of model that is. I think that as a community, we are all made more whole when other people can bring their authentic selves. I think such a gift. It is an honor for the community. What a gift to the community that somebody is now their authentic self and they are now connected in the community. And it's like the whole thing is now lifted up.
Very true, very true. There's something so special about everyone bringing their unique selves to the table, like their full, messy, imperfect, unpolished version of themselves. And again, that makes me think about Mary, and she talked about showing up as her messy self, and she felt like she mattered to the community, and the community was made better because she walked in as just herself.
Yeah.
And that's so special because we all want to feel like we matter. And that means mattering as a collective. That means mattering as an individual and finding that balance. Like if I don't show up one day, if I'm not there, someone's going to notice and someone's going to check on me. And that makes you feel seen. And that brings me to our episode with Bryony, who shared that as part of her activist community, which was something she found very meaningful to be a part of, the community was truly making change in the world. But again, there's the balance of the group versus the individual. One day she didn't show up and wasn't able to, leave a call or anything about that. And someone checked on her. The supervisor in the group or the mentor in the group noticed she was gone and followed up and said, hey, are you doing okay?
Yeah.
So, because I think sometimes things get pushed over to the other side and it's like the group starts mattering as a unit. The group is seen as a unit rather than the fact that it's made up of human beings with complex interactions and everything. So it's just a beautiful concoction of humans and uniqueness and our stories intertwining and the things we do as individuals and the things we do together that are made richer because of the individuals in it.
That is so true. It is such a beautiful moment when she was talking about that because it helps that the community, I as the individual matter here, and it's the community, I matter to this community. And I think, like you said, it's so often the community can take on its own, well, here we are, and this is what matters, the unit. But it's that it really is holding both of those pieces, that we value the unique individuals that are here making up this community. And this community is not complete if you are not here. Who you are matters, and it matters that you and your unique self is here, and we are a better, stronger community, and you are missed when you are not here. That was such a beautiful story about that. I think it was really so descriptive of how both of these pieces matter. And I was also going to say, getting back to that piece of sharing the vulnerability in that matters so much as an individual, like Rob talked about, being able to share pieces of yourself in vulnerable ways, the importance of that within the community, because it truly does, it gives people the courage to also share themselves. I think that to say that, yes, you matter here in the community, and by you being your authentic self, it encourages and empowers the next person there to also be more fully themselves. And so I think bringing that vulnerability to it, again, in that you are missed, when you are not here, but because who you are matters to this group. And so we need you here and we want you here. And the fact that you've been able to be vulnerable and show pieces of who you are allows the next person to also say, as a matter of fact, I'm also going through something, or this is what's been important to me, or these are the ideas I've had. Again, like I was saying before, it matters to the group. The group is enriched when you are there in your authentic self. So, yeah.
Yeah, Mom, when you were describing that, I kind of got the image in my head of waves rippling out, how one person, I love the name of our podcast is Connection from Here. What can we do from here? And all of the
Yeah.
stories with the guests we talked about were their life's journey, but you can easily see how their journeys and their decisions and their vulnerability can affect the next person, which may affect how they live their life and affect somebody else's journey. And it just kind of ripples out from there in a beautiful way. And it all starts from just us all seeking the same thing, seeking belonging, purpose, meaning, a place to share our stories. And yeah, what a beautiful experience I've had listening to all these episodes and to these guests. And thank you so much for sharing this space with me, Mom.
Oh, well, thank you. This first season has been such a joy. I am just so glad to have been a part of, we've taken each other's stories now, kind of like the image from the tree, and taken a little bit of each other's stories with us now. After this first season, we have all shared pieces of ourselves and can now carry these pieces forward for each other. So it's quite a gift, quite a gift.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's so much that I'm going to take with me from here. And I love learning about different people and their journeys. And yeah, what an honor that they would open up to us.
Indeed. Absolutely. It has been a true honor for sure. Yes.
Well, Mom, as you've done several times now, we do like to end our episodes with a step from here. And this one is going to be, have to hold us off a little bit longer because we are taking a break from the podcast. And I think you said we'll be back around mid-October.
That's right. That's right. I think season 2 will begin around mid-October. So we will certainly be looking forward to that. And we'll be looking forward to continuing to think through these big ideas and these interesting topics together. And yes, but so to wrap us up for our season 1, our step from here, what I have been thinking about is the idea of us being okay to be in a messy middle, kind of so to speak, the idea that it's okay to not know, it's okay to be in an in-between place. For so many of us, maybe the ways that we thought about one thing in a certain way before, and it's not necessarily where we are now as we've grown and developed, but we're not quite sure what comes next and what is that going to look like. Sometimes it feels like this, you could call it this messy middle of unknowing and not being certain and not having all the answers. And I'm just thinking about what a lovely place that is if we allow ourselves the gift of kind of sitting in this messy middle space that happens for all of us in so many ways. And so I think a step from here that we can hold on to is to know it is okay to be in the messy middle place. And it is okay not to have all the answers or not to know what the direction is going to be or not to know exactly what the next thing is or what next is going to come or who we next are going to be. And in fact, I would say more than okay, it can be a very beautiful place, a very generative place if you allow. It's also uncomfortable and disconcerting, I think, sometimes to kind of sit in the messy middle of it all. But if you do allow yourself that space and that time and to be able to sit in kind of messy feelings or the unknown, that that a lot of times beautiful, creative, imaginative things can bubble up and new things can come into being that you did not think about before. And so I think that if we can take that with us for these next weeks and these next few months to say, it's okay. We're okay to be in this kind of messy middle, this unknowing. We're okay, and to know that we're not in it by ourselves. As we've talked about this season, there's so many of us that are learning and growing and kind of in an unknown place. And so to just know that it's okay to sit there for a bit and we're going to be okay. And you're not alone in that. So yeah, giving ourselves the beautiful permission and the beautiful time to sit in the messy middle sometimes can be such a gift. Talking about gifts.
Absolutely. And it feels like a relief to be able to give yourself grace to feel all the feelings and know it's okay. Yeah. And, it kind of reminds me of a quote. Rihanna shared the quote the other day that our comfort zone sure is a nice place, but nothing ever grows there. So it's sitting in that discomfort, the uncomfortable. Yeah, that's where we grow. And I'm excited to keep leaning into that feeling and to also hear from listeners. We'd love to hear your stories. Yeah. Even as we take a break, you could still connect with us. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Connect with us in our community, Hope Base.
That's right. In that community, just in case people want to know that, it's hopebasedcommunity.mn.co. There's all kind of beautiful conversations continuing in that community. And so please do join us there. If you'd like to email us, support@gethopebase.com is our email, support@gethopebase.com. And we're always here and would love to hear from you and hear about what you are going through and questions you're pondering. We would always love to hear. And absolutely. I think all of these will be in the show notes as well.
Oh, yep. It's all there. Yeah. No way you can remember everything. So yeah, check the show notes. And yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to sit in the questions with you all, with you, Mom. Thank you so much. And with Rihanna and our wonderful guests. It's just, what a great experience. And I can't wait for what's to come.
Absolutely. Looking forward to season 2. So we will be seeing you about mid-October. Listeners,
exactly.
we will look forward to connecting then in around mid-October and looking forward to hearing from you in the meantime. And so, yes, we will be connecting again soon.
Right. Bye, listeners. Thank you. Bye.